Wassail Beautiful People. Apologies for not replying to all your beautiful messages about that magical reading to do with airy Pock Earth magic. Um, but after I posted it, there was a lot of well, toxic masculinity just rose up all around the whole of Al Jazeera. And I just decided I had to leave. And so that reading kind of brought the magic back to me. And so when I went online, after having not been able to find anywhere to stay forever, suddenly this beautiful place turned up. It's a little bit further back along the Algarve towards Faro, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and you have to drive down this really wonky road that just looks like it's leading to Elfamir. It's so beautiful here. I'm staying in an old mill house, and I'll do a reading soon because I'm here for a month in the room where the grindstones are, and underneath the building water comes through, so there's this wonderful sense of emotional flow that passes underneath the building. It's just beautiful. So I moved yesterday or the day before, and yesterday I spent the whole day making bread to honour the energy of the space, the genius loci. So I've been thinking a lot about a need I have for a little helpful astrology deck, which I'm going to start putting together. And part of my ruminations, and that's ruminations, not ruminations, was that I kind of feel like I need a card that symbolises the black hole, or black holes, or the galactic centre of the universe that's in Sagittarius. And then I thought it's an interesting concept, and while I have no card to hold up for you, I thought it would be interesting today, it being the wonderful new moon in Leo, this ego reset, to maybe look at black holes. What would the energy of a card of the black hole be about as a concept? What's the first thoughts for that? So, can you hear the cicadas? I hope you can. They're on an E most of the time, so there's a real sense of joyful happiness buzzing. And you wake up here, there's some goats. They've got goats in the garden, and we're going to do a reading with the goats. Obviously, I'm not going to get inside with them. I'll sit in front of the fence. But when they first came over to see me, they came running over all excited, like little dogs, and they were wagging their tails at me. And there's chickens, so you might hear the chicken. There's an Indian rooster here, and he's the most amazing looking creature. So there's lots of the natural world around here, and the whole place feels very connected, very magical. There's a ghost indoors. He made himself present to me as soon as I arrived, and he's actually been he's quite pushy. I think he's glad that someone can sense him. So he's already made me bang my head on a light that was lit, so how I didn't see it as I moved towards it. He put a veil over it, and I banged my head, and then I was like, okay, all right, you're there. And then when I first threw some cards down, I had the shamanics deck, and the first two cards out, I was like, what are the energies that I'm going to experience in this beautiful place? And the first two cards were the ghost dance and the hunter. I'm like, so I'm here ghost hunting, am I? And I thought I came to heal myself. So I've got a whole series of decks that I haven't used for a while, because I feel like the black hole kind of wants to talk about something other than normal. So we're going to do the bell. The bell's just down on this little table. It's to avoid it damaging the mic. You see, now that was really interesting because the second bell was like a cover-up. It was like a sound that came with the energy of covering over something. And that's kind of a little bit what I think the void is about. Not the void, sorry. The black hole. But let's see. Let's just go in. I've got Chemin de la Ville, Chemin de la Veille, the evil pathways, the awakening pathways. I think I just have to say that every time because someone will write a comment and ask, why do you? Like every time I say, Gaia, shh, Uranus, there's always somebody who's not up with it. So, you see, I'm even drawn immediately to this as the energy behind the black hole. Mea culpa, I'm sorry. Oh, that's actually really interesting. So the split is mea culpa and the key. So let's split the deck, let's rifle them, and let's see what we've got here. It's new moon in Leo. So let's see. Oh, Le Bonheur. Helena Le Bonheur Carter. Good time girl. I've run into her a couple of times in real life, and she always looks like a bag lady. Oddly, no offence. So Le Bonheur 23-24. There's something of a natural progression within a black hole. Seeing the good times. Oh, that's interesting. It's a veil. You cannot see the good times. It's, oh, so a black hole is a space through which our consciousness comes. And the consciousness of many other things I'm hearing. So, energies, frequencies, but you are blinded from seeing inside the black hole. And that's why it's this dense matter. And part of the reason for wanting to do this reading was there was an article the other day that I read that said scientists have now discovered light inside the back of the black hole. X-rays, but nonetheless light and an energy. And before, it was just this mysterious thing that sucked in all matter. So it's making me think of, there's one of the runes, and I can't remember its name, but it's soil. It's where the physical returns to. So that's somehow part of the energy. So the bonheur is this tiny hummingbird carrying a heart, and it's carrying consciousness. So we are both that hummingbird and we're the energy coming through. The energy that comes out, that goes into the very first single cell in your mother's body when you are created. And from that point onwards, they're saying, it's really interesting, there's so many symbols on this card. They're not really runes. They're a whole series of other symbols. But it's like formula. So we're looking at this energy of being cut off, being covered, being blinded. It's like this is you, your soul, your origin on the other side of the black hole. This is you in the X-ray light or some other kind of light that we don't understand yet, that we can't even, maybe that's not even visible to us. And of you, of this hugeness of the whole of you, only this is allowed to come through the veil and be part of your frequency here. So, just to test me, we've got the little teeny weeny oracle of the pyramids. So, what do we have? We've got a 2 and a oh my goodness. 2, 3, 2, 4, dun dun dun, 2, 5. Magic. I told you the magic's back. So, what am I getting from this card? I'm getting the sense of a kind of, I'm being drawn to 2 things. Oh, scything off something in the hand, but we need to come back to that. Don't let me forget. So we have the Blue Lotus as a kind of, so they're sort of saying that the Blue Lotus, this is like the frequency of God energy, deity frequency. And when a deity comes down to earth, they're kind of saying we're all a deity in some way, but not when we're in the physical. When we're connected to the other world. To come down to earth and to carry this much of your frequency is too much information. And it's almost like going on a kind of a sort of a lotus trip or a plant medicine walk. Those moments when there's too much information. So it's reminding me of something I was talking about the other day. When I was quite young, a guy came up to me and asked me the time, and he put a knife here in my neck, and I pushed him away really quickly, and then he took out another knife from his other pocket, and he came swinging at me with these knives. And it was like being in the Matrix. Because my life was being threatened, everything went really slowly. So the flight totem, please leave my head. The fight was very, very, very slow. And no, come on, please. It's really annoying. And I was trying to explain to somebody that it's not that time went slower. It's that your whole essence opens up, and that's what this card is talking about, this momentary opening of every single energy receiver, information receiver within you. And time is exactly the same, but because there's so much greater spatial awareness of the energies that you're trying to witness, to see yourself through that moment, that it feels slower, because your brain, your body, your energies and your aura are processing so much more information. So there's something about coming down to earth, and it's this energy of large kind of, you know, a plant medicine, a shamanic moment when you have an awakening, you have an awareness, but that you somehow, and that's what this, on this second card, this little tiny, this vase, this little tiny flame candle is like all of your essence that you are allowed and able to carry in day-to-day existence. The black hole is there to stop your mind from overloading, and to keep your that's interesting. They were trying to say keep your ego in check, but what they were saying was to actually to put your ego on test, to somehow be in a delusion. That's interesting. So there's something about the black hole that leaves you vulnerable to delusions of grandeur, So that's an interesting energy. The black hole stops the fullness of your consciousness because, so for instance, maybe during that moment when I had the fight with the guy and the knives, it's like within us, the black hole's coverage that we heard in the bell covers over that covers you most of the time to keep you from overloading and losing your mind. You have a moment where the switch opens and the whole of the veil opens, and you perceive, you feel, you sense, you process everything in one go, and it feels as though time moves more slowly. And yet it's designed so that when you're covered, your ego is vulnerable. That's a really interesting concept, like our ego, because this new moon now is the new moon of an ego reset. So that's clearly why I'm tuning into this black hole frequency, is because it's the stopper. Look, I'm not saying that we all need to sit down in some kind of shamanic space to open that veil, but we do those from time to time. But it's kind of saying that our ego is designed to be at fault, and it's the fixedness with which we approach our ego that creates delusions of grandeur. So for instance, when I was in Romania and I was at a cacao ceremony, and it was the first time Odin was coming around, I sang the ceremony into being at the beginning, and I sang to the logs and the fire before it was lit, and then the flames were lit, and I felt very connected to the fire. And at one point there was a guy there who was just doing that thing of poke, poke, poke in the fire, and I could hear the energy of the fire saying, if he keeps poking me, my flames are gonna get really big, I'm gonna burn somebody. And then suddenly the flames grew and they went to blow towards my friend Daniela, and I just very calmly put my hand out and the flames backed off. Now, I'm not saying I'm some kind of fire wizard, but in that moment, because I had humbly approached the instigation of the flame, the element of fire, I was allowed to be at one. And that goes back to that rune reading of mirroring energies. It's not just deities, but it's elements, it's frequencies. You can match them, but then you take off the cloak. So this is a temporary opening, but you have to be very earthed to do that. And it's an incident that I've forgotten about for a long time. And everyone saw me move the flames and they were like, whoa, that was a bit magical. And I went, yeah, I'm not really sure how I did it. And during the rest of the ceremony, no one else saw this, but I was asking the flames to change colour, and they did. If I said, show me green, the flame would go green, but no one else was seeing that. But it was my moment of being at one with the element of fire. And look, ever since then, if a candle's burning, I can't do anything to make it change, because I'm not approaching the energy in that humble fashion. I'm just sitting there and then suddenly thinking, oh look, I'm just going to try and do that thing. It doesn't work like that. We have to approach all of the elements with a sense of humbleness. So I've got also, the Lost Tarot of Nostradamus, which I struggle to read. But I feel like this is what the energy of this new moon is about. That's really interesting. They've just blown over a card as I've rifled through them. And it's 10 completions and new beginnings. It's the energy of being cut off from the frequency if you don't approach something in the right frequency. So down here, now we have the blue lotus growing underneath the ground. Oh, it's about earth energy, earth magic. You have to approach the earth to create the magic. But this is saying this is air magic, or air epoch, earth magic. That's the new beginning. So let's just see what they've got to say. So, Lost Tower of Nostradamus, honestly. I've turned up in this magical place. Oh, there's so many fly totems all around me all the time. Oh, just as an aside, I bought a new toothbrush before I came here, and it's beechwood. And it doesn't matter what toothpaste you put on it. And I've got this lovely activated charcoal toothpaste that looks like, kind of like liquid mercury, but much more solid. And when you're cleaning your teeth, even though it's mint flavoured, all I can taste is the scent of the beechwood. And you know what? It's lovely. I'd like a series of wood sticks just to sit and sniff them, to get a closeness to the natural world. Yeah, I know I can go and sniff nature, but there's something about when it's going in and out of your mouth that heightens the scent of it. It's absolutely lovely. The new beginnings in my mouth. New beginnings. Death. So, the first card that actually came out is the Eight of Sun. And what am I being drawn to in this card? I'm very much being drawn to Saturn being in Aquarius. Yeah, look, there's a tiny little Cupid angel who's carrying a stick that's like, they're showing me it's an empty cornucopia of your old ego. Your old ego didn't serve you. And this little cherub is standing on the neck and back of a snake. So I'm hearing the poisons of your old ego have to change. You have to battle your old ego. There's a little bit of a sort of a knight's boot, but I'm not sure that that's what it is. They're sort of saying change your shoes. So I think that's going back to the notion in that last room reading of Steve. Oh, Wassail. The calc, the footsteps. I still haven't looked for a word for it because honestly I haven't had a chance to do anything, and it's definitely calc energy. What are the footsteps? What are the tracks you're leaving behind you? It's time to change the frequency of them. It's time to sweep the past. I'm also being drawn to it's not really there, but there's a sort of an E, the letter E, euphoria. So, okay, so you will feel more euphoric if you walk in new shoes, in new sandals, but I don't mean going out and buying new sandals. If you walk in a new ego, and then it's 13 frequency, it's change. Look, it's a great big dung heap of crap. And on top of it, you have a skull. And the skull has a moon. It's kind of like, it's like they're trying to say that our ego, our inflated ego, our delusions of grandeur, energies, are part of a kind of toxicity of spirituality in the dying days of Earth epoch, and that we're changing frequency to a new air epoch spirituality, and it just works differently. So, and that's interesting because that card kind of wanted to sort of fall out. This is again ego. This is about all the egos of the past. This is about false princes. This is about putting your ego on a pedestal. So they're talking about, if you believe yourself to have a frequency above others, you're not connected. The trunk of your Yggdrasil tree becomes stone, because in the past you could flick either way. in Earth Epoch, you could focus on dark energy or light energy, but Air Epoch is about the space between the two. The colour of the true you is the area between. So step down from your pedestal, people. And that's card 14. So we've got 13, 14. There's this sense that the cards are showing this natural progression, but all in little tiny steps. There's no rush to anything. The cicadas like that. So we have another card here that was just sticking out and caught. It's the 9 of Stars, which is Mercury, and I'm being shown Mars in Gemini, but I don't mean Mars in Gemini. I mean I'm hearing fallen lusts. It's like the energy of Earth Epoch. Again, they're just saying the Earth Epoch is in descendant now. It's being removed. Sorry, I haven't shown you the card. This is a divine frequency. There's a bird on a key. I'm just describing it because I'm looking for the thing that matters. Okay, so we have a papal image. I mean, they are very steeped in Catholicism and religion because of the times that Nostradamus was writing in and how he had to keep his writings very secretive. And there's a sword of truth, and the sword of truth is almost floating, but it's also very slightly piercing the back of the lamb at the very bottom. But the interesting part is this a female pope, really, because she wears the same crown, and although it's not, they're showing me her weaving, stitching herself into the now. So it's like the fluidity of Mercury, the gender fluidity of Mercury as well, the Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, with Mars burning and bleaching away in the pelvis of one of the twins, is talking about how that frequency, and it is descending, it's about coming into a balance cycle between masculine and feminine. So what do we have now? We have the devil. But it's really interesting. I'm seeing this figure poking at the kind of dog bear with the sword of truth as being old Mother Time. She keeps turning up. Like she's saying it's time. It really is time for change. I'm being particularly drawn to wisdom. Minerva, they're saying. Minerva. So Minerva is the flip side of Mars. She's one of the Mars's consorts, along with Venus and somebody else. So this Mars in descent is because it's Minerva flip side. It's divine feminine, one of its divine feminine energies is beginning to rise in frequency. And Minerva has the owl, she's wisdom, but she's also one of the goddesses of war. But she's the goddess of defensive war. She's not offensive. So this is something about prodding, Heyoka empath frequency, poking at patriarchy to elicit a response. So let's go back to the Oracle deck and see what we get. What else would you like to talk about black holes? Oh, okay, so Black holes, for me, as I said earlier, is where our consciousness comes through to make its journey into our bodies, into the real world, into the physical. And so it's pure love when it comes through. And through my sound healing, I always talk of it as being divine feminine consciousness. It's actually both genders, but I use a language for us to understand. But everything has both genders, everything has a flip side. And so they're saying that part of our use of language, the semantics of how we discuss things, needs to change, or we will deny one half of our being. We will continue to only be half of a coin, one side of a coin, and we need to be both sides of a coin. It's interesting. So, l'amour. It's the frequency of love, but what I love is, I was hoping we would get an image of a tree, because I'm very aware of trees being deeply, deeply important within the structure of a black hole. And that's very much echoing this pedestal with the stone trunk. Here we see the hummingbird from the beginning is at the top of this tree, but now the hummingbird has turned around, and on the side there's also a butterfly, above and below, a transformation. And then there's a tiny human figure. Oh, I've never seen that before. I don't think you'll be able to see it. They're holding a heart. I've seen the heart being held before. But in their other hand is the sign of Libra. Let's see if we can... It's not going to focus, I don't think. But in the lower hand of that figure at the base of the tree is Libra. We're talking about this being... Okay, they're showing me the falling emotions, the work on the nutrients in the soil. Again, that message of you have to water your shadows daily. You have to know that they're there. You have to be able to work with your shadows so that you can send the nutrients of your shadows up to be your true light. Your light diminishes the less you look at your shadows. What am I seeing at the top here? I'm seeing a box that's a little bit like a safe, but it's also like a dice being rolled. It's time to roll the dice. Oh, roll the dice for the devil. My friend this morning was talking to me about the Magus book and how at the beginning he's challenged to roll the dice. Do you want to go to war? And he doesn't want to, but he rolls the dice and the symbol of war comes out. But I'm being told to think of it not as the kind of patriarchy war, but the matriarchy war of Minerva, the defensive energy. It's a different frequency. So we have l'amour. Let's have a second card to go with that. Have I told you all recently how much I love you? They made me say that. That wasn't me. But you are all wonderful. Anyway. So, do you know, I have to say that since when I got here, it's such a beautiful house, this old mill. I felt really, really emotional, like I needed to cry when I arrived, because it was so like arriving in paradise and coming to a space that understood my energy like I and the house knew each other. And I'm not saying I was here in a past life. It was a familiarity of the energy of space, the genius loci. Maybe there's a connection between the genius loci and black holes. I don't know. I mean, we've already spoken about that energy of the black hole being available within inside us. But being inside us. It's under our skin. We are black holes. That's really interesting. So there's very much an energy of Taurus, there's a lot of them, but I'm really getting Taurus and Virgo, and then I'm getting, are they going reverse? So I'm just, sorry, taking it in. I'll show you it again in a moment. It is the energy of being under your skin, but they're trying to say to me it's an energy of reviewing your natal chart, reviewing all the planetary positions that exist within your houses, but they're showing me an image of reviewing the circle, and once you've finished reviewing the circle, you will suddenly find that there's a new energy that's the figure of 8 energy. Right, 1911. So before we had 2324, and now we've got 1911. I've been getting a lot of ones flying through frequencies at the moment. Quite a lot. Lots of aces coming out. The majors in the Thoth deck has been coming out a lot. It's about new beginnings, but it's somehow new beginnings and ego reset. It's walking forwards with new steps. And we've got a fortnight to work this through till we get to the full moon in Aquarius on the 20th. And that's when, or is it the 22nd? The 22nd. And so it's show me the number in between 21. I was going to say, and it's when Gaia, Uranus, turns retrograde. So they're talking about how it's learning to walk again. Learning to walk with new steps, learning to walk towards bliss, learning to walk towards a better, happier frequency, and that there's some kind of energy where they're saying allow yourself to stumble, allow yourself to fall, allow yourself to make mistakes, allow that energy, don't feel any kind of shame. They're talking about our egos being tested, and so they're kind of saying they want to test all your beliefs, but I don't think that's all now. It's this whole year has been about testing our beliefs. What are your beliefs of you, the world, your future, joining everything back up? Oh, joining everything back up. It's that card. We're in this same energy frequency of matching a deity, matching an energy, matching an element, matching a frequency of your particular house that you're looking at. And 14 has there's something really important because we're getting 14 and 28. I was going to say, I never talk about 14 frequency because it's to do with your higher self. But then they're kind of saying that there are so many different dimensional frequencies that we're not supposed to see. So like, stop talking about it. I'm like, why are you showing me the cards then? 28. Now I see it, you see. They're showing me one thing and then they're showing me another. They're talking about moon cycles. So, the full moon and the new moon. But the cycle of ending. There's something future-proofing about this. There's something future-proofing about this moon. There's something future-proofing about this moment of the new moon, the full moon to come in Aquarius, when we need to. This is going to be important. This matching a deity for this full moon, because it's the first. all year, all the way through 2021, we've been stumbling. Everything's been getting under our skin, and we're meant to be in this frequency of love, but it's because the moons have been out of phase. So every full moon has been followed by its direct opposite new moon, and that's not the right way around. So this is the moon today. This new moon in Leo, this Lion's Gateway portal, is about the energy of the full moon being followed by its direct opposite full moon. Oh, Wasp, Vespa, you can't come into my reading. Too stressful. And there's another something buzzing manically behind my head. So let's get a few of these Nostradamus. It's really loud. I think it's trying to say that there's going to be an irritating 2 weeks. And then as I said that, it's gone, see? Once you tune into the message, it's hanging around that sunflower. Oh, now they're doing a little dance together. I think one of them's coming back. There it is. This is really interesting, the cards, and they're sticky. They're not giving anything up. Come on, cards. Black holes. Oh, you can't do that. That's too many cards. There's too many cards. We'll do that again. So, what would you like to say, please, about this moon, this new change, this ego reset? Right, we've got 3. Yeah, so we've got the 5 of Earth. They're saying to me it's going to be a bloodbath. There's everything here is swords and axes. It's air frequency. There's a bird. There's a white dove. There's a peace that is to come, but it is going to draw up a lot of very uncomfortable. Hey, you know, I'm being shown egg on your face, red faces, people a little bit embarrassed. There's an energy of, the mea culpa from the very beginning. And then we have the 9, so 5, 9, the 9 of Earth. It's interesting because this card looks backwards. He's looking at society differently. He's looking at the turmoil. Right, I'm being told to say 87. 87 stars. I don't know what that means, but they're telling me to say that. 87 stars. There's a very strange demonic monkey on his shoulder, and he's carrying a decapitated head. I need to put some other cards down on that, because that's really not making any sense. We have one other card that goes with this set, which is 11, the Page of Sun, and yet there's something about this card that's lost, but carrying your emotions in a bucket, like emotions are going to spill out. There's a journey of looking backwards on the old ego. It's like busting out of a glass house. So I've got the Afro-Brazilian. Can you please clarify the 5 and the 9 of Earth with the Page of Suns? There's the 5 and the 9 of Globes. Oh, you see, that's interesting. We've got sequential things again. So, we have here the 8 of Swords, followed by the 9 of Swords. So, what are the things that you think about that are part of your ego that are very, very fixed, that you're unwilling to change about yourself, and yet they continue to hurt you, they continue to spike you? I'm very much drawn to the top that has this energy of this dove that's on the top of this one. What are the inner turmoils? What are the things that hold you back from society? And at the moment, we're all very much held in a kind of waiting station within society. You have to line up the tools that pain you. You have to bring alignment to these thoughts. This is part of the process. Did I say 87 stars? Because this is 8 and 9. I'm being very much drawn to the anvil and Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. There's this energy of a frequency coming in that can't be denied. Something profoundly powerful to remold. So what about this page? So we have the 6 of Pentacles to flow, to make offering, to bring your... Look, it's interesting. Behind this figure, he's looking for life. He's got a bucket full of emotions and he's looking for life. And I want to say, you know, in terms, he's half clothed. He's not fully clothed. And in this card, we're now at this tree. We're at this place of offering. But I kind of want to say that this is the ego exchange that's taking place. And this is the sense of growth that will take place in your personal Yggdrasil tree. And I just want to remind you, it's fruitless, quite literally. It's, you know, it's not apple bearer. It's fruitless offering fruit or foods to nature unless you've taken what nature gives you and transformed it into something else. So if you want to make an offering, don't cut up an apple, don't cut flowers and give it to a tree. You need to make something that's edible. I know the tree's not going to eat it, but the point is that you're offering, you're showing how you can transform physical objects. And so therefore, if you can transform physical objects, you can transform emotions as well. And if you transform your thoughts and line them up, you can change your own physical being. You can change your Yggdrasil tree from an ash to an oak, to an aspen, to whatever it needs to be. But you need to find a connection to transform. You need to... where's the card? This is becoming a really important image. And yeah, Gemini, that sense of it, but it's the idea of being in balance. The frequency of true love and kindness brings you balance. That's that Libra symbol being held down there. So I'm going to ask for one final card. What would you like to say at the end? There's always more than one, isn't there? It felt like one jumped over, but maybe not. That's so beautiful that I really don't want to explain it, but it's ending with la racine, the roots. You know, none of this, the roots of your Yggdrasil tree is the transformation of your shadows and fears into love. And that is the key to everything. And we had key with mea culpa. And look, just behind here, there's the hummingbird again. Ah, it's like your consciousness is pricked. You're still not seeing, oh, and it's half, but you're seeing half of the story. You're seeing more. Your eyes are still not open to what's behind the black hole. But if you live in the frequency of trust, of not fearing, and of being and giving love and kindness to people, you will prick your consciousness with that love, and all of the things that used to get under your skin will no longer get under your skin, but you will grow. You will come closer to the full consciousness that isn't available because the black hole keeps us safe. So it really is an ego reset. Okay, so that's it. There's lots of lovely other places around this building, inside and out, that we can do readings from. So I'm very excited. I will try and catch up on all of the messages you've sent for the last reading. Sorry, a card's trying to escape, and I'm just curious about what it is. It's be humble. It's the Four of Wands, which is always about the home, the happy home. But do you see how it's acting? This sheet is acting as the black hole, the energy that keeps us safe. From, look at all the millions and billions of consciousness and ideas and notions that are up in the heaven that you're not supposed to see fully. Be humble. Remove your delusions of grandeur. So, yes, we'll do some other readings in many different places and about many different subjects. But it's all very exciting. I'll reply. I'm going to be writing a blog as well. And I will now, because I've got internet, have time to start watching all your lovely Runeraker videos you've been sending. Because for 7 weeks I haven't been able to look at anything. And it's been, I want to say frustrating, but actually I think it was a time for me to go through my own ego reset so that I would come back out feeling a lot more comfortable. Anyway, you're all very beautiful and I love you all very much, and wassail for now.